morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is English Bulletin with me, Utsa Bhatrai. The top stories first. Samajwadi Party quits government. The move comes after failure to amend constitution. Christmas being observed worldwide today. Merrymaking is a part of the festival. Government prepares to launch Visit Nepal 2020 campaign on New Year. Tourism Minister appeals all Nepalese to support the initiative. At least 7 Afghan troops killed. The Taliban claims responsibility for the attack. And booze and football present tricky choices for the Qatar World Cup host seeks feedbacks from the fans. And now the news in detail. Samajwadi Party Nepal quit the Oli-led government yesterday after row over constitution amendment. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Upendra Yadav and Minister for Urban Development Mohammad Ishtiaq Rai stepped down from their respective posts effective from yesterday. The government did not agree to constitution amendment, which was a precondition for the party joining the government, said a chief whip of Samajwadi Party, Uma Shankar Agaria. He added that the ministers were forced to resign after government did not keep the promises. Agraria accused the government of not taking solid steps to execute the conduct reached with the Samajwadi Party more than 2 years ago.
हाम्रो त्यही कारण हो एउटै हामी सरकारमा संविधान संशोधनको लागि गएका थियौं र अब ठोस रूपले सरकारबाट 2 साल लमसम भएको अवस्था छ र संविधान संशोधनको ठोस कुरा सरकारको पक्षबाट गरिएन त्यो कारणले हामी राजीनामा.
Deputy Chairman of Samajwadi Party Renu Kumari Yadav said the move was inevitable after Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli turned down the constitution amendment proposal. Prime Minister Oli had earlier rejected to endorse the proposal of constitution amendment tabled by Deputy Prime Minister Yadav during a cabinet meeting earlier this week. According to sources, today's meeting of Samajwadi Party will decide on whether to continue its support to the government or not. Christians across the world are celebrating Christmas today to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ. The festival is celebrated every year on December 25. Christians set up Christmas tree at their home and church during this festival. Especially children believe that Santa Claus will visit their homes to reward them with gifts for their good deeds throughout the year. People have even started wearing the dress of Santa Claus themselves. The Christmas tree is decorated on the eve of Christmas and Santa Claus is expected to visit the homes at midnight. On Christmas Day, people gather together and exchange greetings. Merrymaking and feasting are also a part of the festival. Revelers also gather at churches and public places and recite Bible and enact the miracles of Christ. Exchange of gifts is also a part of this festival. The celebration of Christmas is extended till the New Year. The Parliamentary Hearings Committee has sought complaints from the public, if any, against senior advocate Lakshmi Bahadur Niraula after the government recommended his name for the post of Judicial Council member. A meeting of the Hearings Committee has urged the public to file complaints against the former Attorney General Niraula within 10 days starting from Wednesday. Chairman of the committee, Lakshman Lal Karna, said that anyone can register complaints against Niraula before he holds the reputed public post. After receiving the complaints, the committee will then grill the candidate before endorsing his recommendation for appointment to the post. A post of Constitutional Council was lying vacant after its member Padam Abaide tendered resignation some weeks ago. A cabinet meeting on Monday recommended Niraula for the vacant post. Niraula was the Attorney General during the rule of former King Gyanendra Shaha. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. We continue with other national news. The provision of transferring government employees involved in misconduct instead of penalizing them for their acts should be scrapped, lawmakers demanded during a parliamentary committee meeting yesterday. Such remarks were made by MPs during the meeting of the State Affairs and Good Governance Committee held yesterday. MPs were unanimous in agreeing that strict action should be taken against government employees involved in misdeeds instead of transferring them.
बरु नसार्ने मन्त्रालय बनाऊँ बरु अरूलाई पनि नसार्ने बनाउने तर स्पष्टीकरण लिने चेतावनी दिने प्रमोसन रोक्ने र अन्त पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ सरकारले मतलब निलम्बन गरेर सरकारको आदेश नमान्दा निष्कासन समेत गर्न पाउने प्रावधान राखौँ क्लस्टर राखौँ।
On a different note, MP Janata Sharma demanded additional quotas at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs because joint secretaries have been appointed as envoys to different countries. Meanwhile, Secretary at the Ministry of Federal Affairs and General Administration Yadav Koirala informed the committee that the government has been hiring staff on contract basis at the lower levels as there isn't much work pressure and the employees don't have to work full-time at the lower departments. Education Minister Giriraj Mani Pokhrel has urged all three tiers of governments to become actively involved in assuring standard education within the country. The minister made such remarks during an interaction held yesterday. The government needs to hand over the authority of education to the provincial and the local levels while their support is vital for assuring quality education, said Minister Pokhrel. He also added that the provincial government's attitude to dominate the local units has resulted in the poor standard of education. According to the minister, the problem seen in education cannot be solved until the provincial government realizes that the local units are independent governments. And now, the news from Economic Front. Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation Yogesh Bhattrai said that the government is all set to launch the Visit Nepal 2020 campaign next week. Minister Bhattrai said so while attending a program in the valley yesterday. Minister Bhattrai reaffirmed that Visit Nepal 2020 initiative is not confined up to the government or the tourism sector but belongs to all Nepalese, stating that orders have already been passed to all 5-star hotels of Nepal to include Nepali food in their menu. Minister Bhattrai said food management should not only target homestay service but the overall marketing of local products. Nepal will officially begin the much-awaited Visit Nepal 2020 campaign starting January 1st next week. The program is scheduled to be inaugurated by President Vidya Devi Bhandari at Dashrath International Stadium, Tripureshwar. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back, and now the international news. Seven Afghan soldiers were killed in a Taliban attack on a base in northern Afghanistan yesterday, AFP reported. According to the Afghan Defense Ministry, terrorists attacked a joint military base in the Dawlatabad district of Balkh province near the Uzbekistan border. The ministry said in a statement that 7 Afghan army soldiers died and 3 others were wounded as a result of the attack. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid, however, claimed that 20 soldiers had been killed in the attack, including a commander. The attack comes one day after the Taliban claimed responsibility for the death of an American Special Forces soldier who was killed in Kunduz province, also in the north. The Taliban said they had attacked the vehicles he was in, whereas the US military said he died when a weapons cache he had been investigating exploded. According to AFP, winter once marked a slowdown in the so-called fighting season, with Taliban fighters returning to their villages while snow and ice made attacks more difficult to pull off. But in recent years, the distinction between seasons has all but vanished. Russian President Vladimir Putin upped the ante in the war of words with Europe, accusing Poland of colliding with Hitler. According to AFP, tensions are running high between Moscow and Warsaw, with NATO and EU members Poland fearing what it has described as a Russian military adventurism and imperialist tendencies. Speaking to military top brass and using bad language at one point, Putin said that Poland was in cahoots with Hitler during World War II. Resorting to bad language, Putin said a wartime Polish ambassador allegedly promised to put up a statue of Hitler in Warsaw for his pledges to send Jews to Africa. He slammed what he called attempts to erase the memory of Soviet victory in countries in Moscow's former sphere of influence. Russia is developing state-of-the-art weapons and is no longer playing a game of catch-up with the West, Putin said. Last week, Putin blamed the Western powers and Poland for World War II, pointing to various treaties signed with Nazi Germany before the conflict began in 1939. You are watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Qatar will begin shifting through fan feedback from the Club World Cup to see how it can provide supporters with a successful World Cup in 2022, Reuters reported. However, cultural differences will be a tricky challenge to surmount. According to Reuters, the first trial run for the Qatar 2022 World Cup completed at the weekend, with Liverpool defeating Brazil's Flamengo in the final. Judging from the views of fans, the feedback is likely to be a mixture of reassurance about their infrastructure but concern about the fun factor. Drinking and playing can be a tricky concept in a country with strict restrictions on alcohol consumption and low tolerance for rowdiness. It's much more about people than bricks and mortar now, Hassan Al-Tawadi, head of Qatar's World Cup organizing committee, told Reuters in an interview. He added that Qatar wants to learn from fans whether their plans worked or not, what they can improve, what doesn't work, and what they need to scrap altogether. The tournament attracted around 13,000 Brazilian fans as well as thousands of Liverpool supporters from around the world. Mexican, Saudi and Tunisian fans were also in attendance to support other teams in the competition. Tottenham Hotspur have identified and banned a supporter who threw a cup at Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga during Sunday's 2-0 home defeat for Spurs, the Premier League club said yesterday. With his side already 2 goals down, Kepa was targeted by a supporter behind the goal in the 65th minute, with the cup missing the Spanish goalkeeper by inches when he walked across his 6-yard box, Reuters reported. The club confirmed in a statement that it identified and issued an immediate ban to individual responsible for throwing a cup at Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa during Sunday's Premier League home fixture. Spurs also assured to take the strongest action possible against anyone who found behaving in this way. Chelsea defender Antonio Rudiger was also allegedly racially abused in the match, and the German defender urged the club to find and punish those involved. Spurs said their investigation into that remains ongoing. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. Samajwadi Party quits government. The move comes after failure to amend constitution. Christmas being observed worldwide today. Merrymaking is a part of the festival. Government prepares to launch Visit Nepal 2020 campaign on New Year. Tourism Minister appeals all Nepalese to support the initiative. At least 7 Afghan troops killed. Taliban claims responsibility for the attack. And booze and football present tricky choices for the Qatar World Cup host seeks feedbacks from the fans. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.